and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So, as you guys know, Supreme Court draft came out with what's happening with Roe v. Wade, which is a real shame. But like Kit said, they literally could have fixed this decades ago, and they chose not to. So again, Democrats, like literally Roe v. Wade ended under a Democratic majority.
Yeah,
that's. I just want to make the point that because I remember when Trump was first getting elected, and I would talk to people. Because I enjoyed listening to Blue No Matter Who people, just to understand them, so I know how to deal with them. And one thing that was being thrown. Well, if Trump gets elected, that's the end of Roe v. Wade. That's why we have to that's why we have to vote Biden.
Yeah, they got a majority.
And I'm like, I don't think it's going to work that way because as I said before, we sort of understand the landscape of these issues quite well. And so turns out, again, we were right. Democrats weren't really going to fight it. They never were set up for it. And the fact that they let the Supreme Court get stacked against them so much when they really didn't have to means that this was sort of inevitable on the Democrats' part and the Republicans' part, working together to make it happen. It's the asking the fox or the wolf to watch the chickens. It's not going to be a good outcome either way. And so the reason we're getting to this story right here with AOC is AOC has we've been talking about Sinema and what we don't like about her actions for quite a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
The curtsy, the way she voted, the way she turncoated from a Green Party to a Republican, everything of that nature. And what did we do that entire time? We said Sinema's a huge issue. Joe Manchin's a huge issue. What did we hear from the Progressive Caucus that entire time? Mild, tepid commentary every now and then in the form of tweets.
You're being generous with that, man. Mild, tepid.
But my point is that what was happening in those times, that was the chance of Medicare for all.
True.
That's college student loan debt forgiveness.
True.
That's actually doing infrastructure, a Green New Deal.
True.
All the economic things that are very relevant. It's the Supreme Court decision, that sort of doesn't have a lot to do with Sinema in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that AOC has determined that we should primary Sinema, is right now. Not any time in the last 4 years. Not any time in the last 2 years. It's now. Not when Sinema destroyed Medicare for all. That was fine. That was acceptable. We don't need a primary. College student debt forgiveness. That's acceptable. It doesn't really matter. We don't have to primary her. We don't have to primary her on anything that we've covered. But to quote AOC herself, we do on this. We could protect Roe tomorrow, but Sinema refuses to act on the filibuster. Unless that changes, she can take a seat talking about women's access to health care. To hold everyone contributing to this disaster accountable, GOP and Dem obstructionists included, she should be primaried. So AOC, this is considered a last straw at AOC. Oh, now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a fair straw to be your last. But the fact that we are this far in and this is the last straw, it's not when she, every day you don't pass Medicare for all, hundreds or thousands of people die. That's just a factual statement on how the healthcare system works. Every day you don't pass Medicare for all, hundreds or thousands of people go into bankruptcy. Every day you don't pass Medicare for all, the health insurance company gouges the American people. Every day you don't forgive college debt, I'm sure you could really argue that people die. Maybe they're kicked out of their apartments because they can't afford it. They lose their vehicles, therefore they lose their car, they lose their work. People die from that. Green New Deal, I don't even have to explain how moving away from fossil fuels to solar, wind, etc. is going to make less people die. So my point is, it's not just a matter of people being hurt or dying, because that's ubiquitous. It's that this was the last straw. A social issue.
I think this is all kind of show by AOC at this point. Look, to harping on to an earlier, in the first story that we did earlier today for the show, look, the Democratic progressives right now, they tweet out things that we want to hear. But their fighting record is null and void. They don't know how to fight. The Justice Democrats, Brand New Congress, Our Revolution, however which way you want to name them or label them, they're not fighters. They're wimps. AOC and those 15 Other progressives who were on the forced to vote petition were wimps and cowards and hypocrites. When they had the chance to actually fight for Medicare for all, they bowed down to Mama Nancy. And now this whole thing with Sinema, look, Sinema, she's a fraud. Through and through. A corporatist, through and through. She's not green. She's not activist. She's not a progressive. She's not a Democrat. She's really a Republican at this point. But dare I say it more correctly, she's a corporatist neoliberal sellout like she's always been. So the thing is, AOC, you're doing this big fight with Sinema, which I had to say, okay, great. But AOC, where's the same passion towards Nancy, who went on the record saying that, again, abortion fight would damage the Democratic Party? Where's this pushback towards Chucky Boy Schumer? Or even your good friend Biden? Hey, Bernie, your good friend Biden, who was against Roe v. Wade and felt that a woman should decide what to do with her body.
And by the way, on top of all this, AOC's point is basically, now that it's in jeopardy because for 3 or 4 decades, I think maybe we just call it the period when Nancy Pelosi was in charge of the House, which actually might be an accurate way to frame this debate.
Yeah.
And the entire time that Nancy was in charge, we didn't do anything about this. We just trusted that the Supreme Court majority would always be Democrat, and we didn't have to worry about anything else.
No need to codify anything.
No need to codify anything. But she's calling out Sinema because now that they realize they screwed up and they're 5 steps behind everyone, they're like, if only Sinema decided she wasn't going to filibuster this, everything would have been different.
One other thing, too. 3 names. President Bill Clinton, Democrat. President Barack Obama, Democrat. President Joe 30330 Biden, Democrat. They've had all 3 at numerous points in their presidency. And yes, before anyone says the 90s and early 2000s were different. No. We're not doing that. There were numerous opportunities to where the Democratic Party could have codified Roe v. Wade. It's easy and pathetic to go after the GOP, which again, GOP, scumbag party, just like the Democratic Party.
And then we know their intentions. They've wanted this for decades.
And we also want to be very clear. There's a big difference between Republican and Democratic Party politicians and all that, and from the voters. To the people who still vote Team Red or Team Blue, please wake up. These politicians don't like you. Okay, and if you think that they do, they did a really good job in swindling you. But however, look, again, if you know people who are still mesmerized by corporate media or the 2-party system, help them. Help them detach from that matrix.
They really do need your help.
They do need your help in a polite manner too. Let's try not to be yelling.
Yeah, let's make them our keys, not our enemies.
Yep. So there we go. Also, again, JB Font, Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, Reid, Clinton, and even Carter. Yeah. We got to put in Carter too. Yeah, sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Hey, like him too.
It's my point. It's like if there was literally just a national bill, but it was too hard for them to pass politically something that everyone already agreed with.
Yeah.
Because all we've gone from is a huge political issue of trench warfare that the majority of Americans were on the side of, to now a huge political trench warfare issue that the minority of Americans are in favor of. That's the shift that has been made. There's going to be a point in the future where it tilts back. Yeah. This is not, it's like the future we know. It's like abortion rights are going to be expanded, and then eventually someone will think to codify them at some point in the future. But it's just not today.
Yeah.
And
so AOC,
yeah.
Yes, you're kind of justified to yell at Sinema. Sinema's a scumbag through and through, but she's a corporatist fraud. But the Democratic Party as a whole, from party leadership, from your lovely mama bear to Biden himself to everyone, even Hillary Clinton too, they all could have codified Roe v. Wade if they actually had a backbone. But
it's don't. Like they could have done it when it was. But the other thing about it is, it's harder to make money,
fundraise,
donations.
So before we end the segment, I want to actually ask to have democracy in the chat. So, folks, Democratic Party right now they have 2 options. Who do you think they would, run a primary against first, or support a primary against? AOC, type 1, type 2, if you think it'll be Sinema. We'll let you decide on that one.